everyone. Today I'm going to be covering a couple of questions that may have popped up in regards to Gran Turismo 7. So how to race Formula 1 23 cars in Gran Turismo 7, and also why is Formula 1 Gran Turismo 7 trending right now? If you think this video is going to be good for you, please stick around. What we're going to be looking at first of all is how to get the cars Formula 1 in Gran Turismo 7. Now, for each Super Formula car, you do need 1 million credits in order to accomplish that. So if you pop into Brand Central, and I do believe that we go to Asian Oceania, Super Formula, and you have got a choice here of these Formula 1 cars. The ones that I generally use is the ones with the most brake horsepower of 639, as you can see here, which is the Honda or the Toyota. These are the two newer ones that came in. Okay, so as you can see from the Honda and the Toyota, they do have a higher PP, just slightly, not too much. The newer ones are slightly heavier in weight as well. They're 670 kilograms, and the older ones are 660. So I've opted for the SF19 Super Formula cars just because they are slightly lighter in weight, a little bit more brake horsepower, and a little bit higher of a PP rating. So in order to get these cars, you do have a couple of options, and what I tended to find was you can just do it the normal way, play any races that you're looking to do, picking up any sort of reward from different types of races, but what I found personally was actually the fastest for me to do so, because 20 million credits may seem like a daunting task, and not everybody has maybe got the time in order to just sit and grind away for 8 to 10 hours a day to be able to do that. So what I kind of found to do is one of the best races for myself that doesn't really take up a lot of my time but does give you a good reward would be if you go into Europe and the World Circuits, go to Italy Sardegna road track, and it's the PP800 15-lap World Touring Car 800 race. Now, it does say the maximum reward is 485,000. However, what I've tended to find with this race is if you do race clean, you're not kind of bashing people out the road and stuff like that, or smacking into walls all the time, and you do get the clean race awards, you do 9 cases out of 10 walk away with 785,000 credits in total. Now, the race can take up to 30 minutes from my time estimations. What I would do is, instead of going with a Grid 3 car, I went with a Grid 2 car, and I just kind of lowered the output adjustment on the Grid 2 car to make it fit in with the 800 PP that is required to enter that race. So if we come down here, as you can see, there's a couple of cars here, and what I've tended to find is this is a Grid 3 car that was rewarded from one of the recent rewards for the launch of the Gran Turismo movie. Even though it's got a slightly higher PP, I just didn't think it had enough to keep up. Now, it sounds silly, the one that I'm pointing at just now, the NSX Concept GT16, is slightly heavier. However, the original PP for that car, as I will show you just now, is 847.16. Now, putting the output adjustment down here to 77 enables me to 797.77 on the performance points on the left-hand side of the screen, as you can see here. Now, that enables me to enter the race. There is no power restriction on it. Everything has just been kind of left to normal, and I do use racing soft tyres in order to get as much grip as possible. Now, there is variations of different ways that you might want to obviously enter this race. It has got tyre and fuel consumption, so it is something to be aware of. Now, obviously from there, you can use any sort of the tyres that you wish, but I found the racing softs just really give you as much grip as possible, enable you to try and create a comfortable lead before you pit in. Now, generally, I do have it in full power, and if you don't know how to do that, whether you're on controller or steering wheel, what you can do is in the bottom right of your screen, you will see that you can change that by using the directional buttons on your D-pad on your controller, or you can use the directional button on your steering wheel. You can change the power to maximum lean. So what I generally tend to do, depending how the race is going, and if you've made any mistakes and stuff like that, and you're having to play catch up a couple of times in the first maybe 8 laps before you pit, if you're finding that you've not really got a large time ahead of the car before you pit, generally what you will find is that you can put it on lean, and that will kind of just make sure that you won't have as much power coming out to the car, but it enables you to maybe squeeze in an extra lap, and with that it just means that you can able to put in a wee bit more comfortably, and you're not losing so many spaces for the remainder of the actual race. So that's one way that you can do it. And the other way that you can do it, if you have got a wee bit more time in your hands, if we go back to World Circuits here, we go back into Europe again, and we head up to Bar Championships. So if we go back up here and scroll along, as you can see, we have another 800 PP race, and it's a 60-minute race. and the reward is 1 million credits. Now, obviously, that would be requiring to do 20 of these races in order to accomplish the 20 cars that you would need to purchase for Super Formula. Now, from that on the Italy Sargere race, as I said, that's a 30-minute race, but that would take about 26 races. So there is a bit of a difference saying it's all going to be specified to your own time restraints and stuff like that. So you do whatever you feel is going to be beneficial and easier for you, whether you want to get it done as fast as possible and go for the 20, 60-minute races, or you want to maybe just go for the 26 30-minute races. Now, obviously, depending on how your races go, these times can vary, so they aren't going to be set in stone. With the Italy Sargere race, they're not going to be set in stone. It can vary just over the 30-minute mark as well. However, with the 1 hour races here, they are set in stone. So when you do start this race, it will come up at the top in the middle of your screen. It will start a 60-minute countdown timer. And basically, whoever's sitting in first position by the end of the timer and crosses the finish line first, that's how you win the race. The weather for this one on the 800 pp, 1 million race here for 60 minutes, it can vary. So I would suggest making sure that you have got access to all your tyre, because obviously you don't want to begin into that race with 30 minutes in, it starts hammering down with rain and you've only got racing softs or racing hards and you're sliding all over the place. So I would suggest that you would go back into your car and make sure that you do have your racing hard, medium, soft, intermediates and heavy wet tyres here. In order to get those tyres as well, you can go to your tuning shop. When you head in here, you can press on the PlayStation here, it'll be R1. So you've got racing hard, racing soft, racing medium here. And then if you go to your extreme tab, just one more over, you do have your racing heavy wet and intermediate tyres as well. Now I have purchased these and they can range from anything from, I believe the highest is like 38,500 credits as of the recording of this video. However, I think the lowest is maybe about 18,000. Basically, have your car of choice. With the cars in an 800 pp race, I would strongly suggest having a Grid 2 car, like just using the output adjustment on that car to bring it under the 800 pp. Depending on the car you're using, my preferred car of choice is the Honda NSX Concept GT16. And with this car here, as I can show you here, it does require me to bring the output adjustment down from 100 all the way down to 77%. So if I go up to 78 here, as you can see, press triangle again, I am just over the 800 pp. So when it says performance points on the far left hand side, you'll see 797.77 is what I was at previously, and the blue number to the right hand side of that is 800.81. That is now the output of that car just now as it stands. If I was trying to enter any of the 2 races I spoke about previously, because I'm over that 800 pp requirement to enter that race, then from there it won't let me enter the race. So this is why I need to bring it back down to 77, press triangle again to measure, and it will bring me back down to the 797.77. This for me just keeps it very, very simplistic. I do understand that there is a lot of money making videos in order to tune up cars and to do things and various different ways to do it. And I have tried these videos in the past, and it just becomes a wee bit more of an annoyance, because you do have to have quite an output of money in order to be tuning up these different cars, because they do change these things all the time with updates coming out. And I just do tend to find that you do end up spending a bit more money all the time rather than saving it up and having to buy a car that you maybe don't have, buying more tuning parts for that car, and going through a very specific way of setting up the car with your suspension, your differential, aerodynamics, so on and so forth, your transmission. Basically for me, I preferred this car because all I've had to do is buy the tyres for it, and I've obviously had to purchase this car. I do believe it was between 300 and 350,000 credits to purchase the car initially, but the car has set me in good stead. It's really easy for me to drive. It suits my kind of driving style. Now, if we go back into my garage here, we will move forward and I will show you the Formula 1 cars that I do have. As you can see here, I do have a bunch of Super Formula cars here. And all that I've opted to do really is to have 2 of each so that I can have 2 of the same team, the same as they do in Formula 1. So it's a total of 20 cars, so it'll be 20 million credits in total. So as you can see here, I do have 3 Red Bull, but I was just kind of messed about with this alternative one here. I do have 2 Ferraris, I've got the 2 McLarens, 2 Red Bulls, 2 Alfa Romeos, Alfa Tauri, 2 Williams, 2 Mercedes, 2 Haas, 2 Aston Martins. So with these here, I do have these liveries that have been applied onto these cars. Now, as you can see here, the liveries do have a number at the back wing there, as you can see, number 11. All the cars are slightly different, they do have numbers on them. The great thing about this game is the fact that when there is a new livery or anything like that, you do have a great Gran Turismo community that do decide to upload these liveries and how to access these liveries that have been uploaded to the website. I would refer you to other videos on YouTube if you want to look at how to actually get into creating your own liveries and be able to upload these to the Gran Turismo website. It isn't overly complicated, but it is very time consuming because they do have specific requirements in order to upload these liveries to their website. So I just tend to kind of go with the flow here and see what is on the livery section through the GT Auto section in here. We go to car customization, and when this pops up here, we'll go along to load style and go to content search, and underneath popular tags we'll click on here, and from there we'll go down to the one that stands out in my head. I can just remember the actual name of the livery is W14, which is a Mercedes one. So if I type that in here, press R2 for done, and then click on content search. Now, as you can see here, we do have liveries. What I done to figure out what liveries to choose from is I went to the Formula 1 website, and there was 3 searches that I done. So I searched for all the drivers and teams racing for next season on Formula 1. I will leave the links for the following parts here in the description. I also searched for the driver profiles, and I also searched for the F1 23 liveries for the cars as well. On these websites, what it was enabling me to do is to see the liveries that have been posted in the official Formula 1 website. It also tells you the code for these liveries. So what I mean by that is the one that I searched for there was W14, and that is Mercedes livery code for this year. Now, for example, as I'm looking on the website just now, Red Bull's is RB19, you have Williams, which is FW45, Alfa Romeo C43, Alfa Tauri's AT04, McLaren MCL60, Aston Martin AMR23, Ferrari SF23, Mercedes W14, Alpine A523. That just enables me to take that code and come back in here. So for example, the last one I read out there was A523. Type that in here, still under the same search parameters, the popular tags for Formula 1. Content search, and as you can see, it pops up here. I do realise that these liveries were launched back in February of this year. I'm maybe a bit late to the party in regards to looking over these. However, this is something that I've just seen that has been available now in Gran Turismo. They have been updated. As you can see, the dates and times are underneath these two, which is 18th of February. I did say in my previous video, the liveries and the driver names and stuff like that is something that I'm going to need to update, and I decided to do this last night before making this video, and this is how I've came across this, and this is how I've managed to do it. On the Formula 1 website, for all the drivers, it does tell me the name of the team, the name of the driver, and the number of the car that they're actually driving in. So for example, I've got Red Bull team here, Max Verstappen number 1, Sergio Perez number 11. From there, this just enables me, when I'm looking at these cars and looking at these liveries here, to be able to make sure that I've got one livery with the one number for the driver on one car, and then another livery for another number on the driver on the next car as well. So it just means that when I get to this next section here and apply these liveries on, now these liveries may cost you money, credits within game. How much, I do not know. It will depend on what paints, what other accessories and stuff like that that you may have already purchased by applying liveries onto your cars, or may have not been. The total cost of that, I'm not going to be sure. It's all going to be dependent on what stuff you have available, what stuff that you've already purchased and what you haven't. Sometimes you get a free replacement, other times it will specify a list or maybe a couple of things that you need to purchase in order to apply that livery onto the specific car you're looking at. So moving from there, when you look up the driver profiles, what it takes you to is a page, and it actually shows the amount of points that that driver has for the current season. It will show you their driver number, it will show you their name, but it will also show you their nationality as well. So what I generally do is, after I've done that, you've got all your cars set, you've got all your liveries applied onto all your cars. So you get your 20 Super Formula cars and you've got all your liveries applied. Now, what you can do is you can go to any track that you wish to do. So say, for example, I went to Spa and go to custom race, choose your course, and I've already done this. So if I go to the load settings, load mine here, it will say it's loaded from another track. That makes no difference at all. It will just load the same settings that you've had from that different track to the current course that you're on just now. So basically what I've got here is I was testing out last night a race in the wet. So I've just done 10 lap race, 20 cars, starting grid 20, done a grid start. Slipstream strength, I've done it as real. Tyre wear is 6x6. Fuel consumption times 10. Refueling speed 20 litre a second, which is maximum. Nitrous, just left it in default, and then just selected my time of day. You can obviously mess about with these settings here. This part here, the rivals section, is I normally put it to professional level, and I'll put rival selection, select from garage, and then select to open from garage. If we click on here, it will bring you up with this page and it will say change grid order. Now, with any one of these cars that you can scroll up and down here, you can click on here and it will give you the opportunity to change the car and also to adjust the grid, also to change the driver name. So if you go into the change car section, you can change any car that you wish to put in here. Obviously, you're going to be selecting your Super Formula cars, and all that I've done is from the driver profile part of the Formula 1 website is I've just followed the order of the drivers on the grid order. So all I mean by that is on the website here, it's saying Max Verstappen sitting here with 314 points, Sergio Perez 189, Fernando Alonso 149, so on and so forth. The only thing that I've changed with the order of the drivers is I've put myself into the back of the pack. So what I would have done here is I've not got the right car selected here at the moment. I would have another Ferrari selected for myself, and that enables me to then, you can obviously choose if you want to drive with any of the other people. You're just going to replace, that will automatically replace a name. You can't adjust your name here to match obviously the last driver you're going to be leaving out for whatever team you decide to choose to drive on. Now, all that I've done is I've took Nick De Vries, who was sitting in 20th place on the Formula 1 profile website, and I do believe that I've got Carlos Sainz for the Ferrari, which I would be in 20th place, and I put Nick De Vries in replace of that because he's actually sitting 7th on the website as per this video being made. The other thing you can do here is if you do select on here, adjust grid, you can move this down and then adjust back up if you wanted to. So you can move it all the way down, you click X, it would move that driver down to the specific place that you put them. And then you can click on change driver name, click in here. And what I've found is obviously, as you can see in the right hand side with the pencil, it says 13 out of 16. That's how many characters that you do have available to type into the space given. So I've generally found instead of putting their full name, is just putting the initial of the first name, full stop, space, then the last name after that, and then just clicking R2 and done, and then going to the country or region, and as you can see, you can select various different countries, and I've got them from the Formula 1 website. Now, the only thing from this is Gran Turismo doesn't have available Thailand or China flags. So Albon has got Thailand, I believe. If I go to Albon here, yeah, so he's Thailand flag. Do not have one in Gran Turismo at all, as I can show you here. I've had to select Taiwan, and it's not the right flag. There isn't anything that's really close to it at all on here, unfortunately. I do believe that Gran Turismo should have more nationalities available within the game to choose to put towards a driver name, and it's the same with Zhou as well. There is no China flag here, so I've just selected Taiwan just for the easiness of it. They don't really match up to what their original nationalities may be, however it is the best that I can do with the restrictions of the game. So once you've done that, and you've selected your grid order, you've put all your names in, your nationalities, as you can see, you can then hit apply. And then what I would do is save your settings. Make sure to save your settings because you don't want to go through all that and then go to start another race at a later date and time and then have to go through all that again. It will just be frustrating for you. So you just click on save settings. I've already done it here, I won't do it again, but you can just click on save settings at the top and it'll pop up with a box. Enter your text, whatever you want to be, hit done, hit OK. And then that'll be you saved. So that just means that any time that you want to come back in and do a race, as you can see, I've saved settings for different things already here, but I've just saved it as F123. Then it just enables me that the only thing I might want to tweak is the number of laps, maybe the fuel and tyre wear consumption. All the names are going to be set in stone. So at a later time, if you decide to go, I don't want to drive with Ferrari like I'm doing just now, I want to drive with McLaren, all I would do is get and change that one name and switch the car about. and put it in the grid order, and then obviously from there just change the nationality flag if it's available within Gran Turismo 7. That's all I would do. That kind of takes us to the other section here. So why is Formula 1 Gran Turismo 7 is trending right now? So with Formula 1 23, it has launched back in June of this year. This is now only August. It is 2 months into the game being launched, and I was having a wee look at the PlayStation Store. This was launched on the 16th of June 2023, and the standard edition on the PlayStation Store is £69.99 Great British pounds. So basically, at the present moment in time, there's a sale on here. The offer ends on the 30th of August 2023 at a minute before midnight, according to the PlayStation Store. It is now £41.99. Looking at the things that are available within the game, so there is PS Plus required for online play. There's in-game purchases optional, supports up to 22 players with PS Plus, online play optional, 2 players, remote play supported. As far as I've seen here, there is another option within the PlayStation Store that you can purchase EA Play to get a 5-hour game trial. It's not something that I'll be looking to do, is to make another purchase in order to get a trial of a game. If there is trials and stuff like that available, I do pay for PS Plus Premium. If there is trials available, I will get it through that for the purchase that I've already making per month to PS Plus. For me, Formula 123 has went down the avenue of not utilising the technology that is available to them right now. Now, I did have Formula 122. I haven't purchased Formula 123. It's something I'm thinking about, just to be maybe making some content, but I'm not 100% sure of that as of yet. Now, the one thing that is really holding me back with that is the functionality of the game. And what I mean by that is that there is no option for PlayStation VR 2. There isn't any support for that. When the game was announced, there was no mention of PSVR 2 support. It was raising quite a bit of concern for myself and for any fans of that Sony VR headset. I don't know why they would have decided not to do this. The issue with Formula 1 not doing this is, for me, the kind of really big knock-on effect that it's had on their sales from launch is the fact that they have said that they will support various different VR headsets on the PC compatible game. I don't know why they would launch it on Xbox as well as PlayStation, and they have got another VR headset available on PlayStation, and they're not willing to implement that. Now, I have read a lot of places online that people are kind of holding out and hoping for, and that's what I'm really doing just now. But I'm coming to that conclusion where we're 2 months in, there has been game updates, and from there hasn't been really any sort of clue that Formula 1 is planning to do a further update with the PSVR 2. With that being said, Gran Turismo 7 having the functionality of the PlayStation VR 2, once you try Gran Turismo 7 in VR, you'll never really want to go back to a flat screen again. That is such an immersive experience. Racing in virtual reality is absolutely perfect. It literally puts you in the driving seat, bringing your racing fantasies to life. Now, with the launch of the PlayStation VR back in 2016, Sony has made it its first foray into the VR market, allowing racing game fans to experience VR on the PlayStation 4 for the first time. Now, despite its niche appeal, it sold over 5 million units at that time, making it a roaring success in the VR market standards. Unfortunately, the PS4 clearly wasn't powerful enough to handle racing games, compromising the experience back then. 6 years later down the line, PlayStation VR 2 is finally here, and it's promising to a generational leap in fidelity and immersion over the original. Horizon Call of the Mountain is touted as the PSVR 2's flagship launch title. For me, Gran Turismo 7 is the true launch title for the PlayStation VR 2. It's an absolutely astounding achievement. Now, when Sony announced the PlayStation VR 2 and Gran Turismo 7 was at the top of my wish list for games that I would love to play in VR. Thankfully, Polyphony has delivered as GT7 is playable in the PlayStation VR 2 at launch. This isn't the first time the series has been playable in VR. On the original PSVR, Gran Turismo Sports VR support was limited to time trials and races against one car on a track in a separate VR tour mode. It felt like a fancy tech demo rather than a fully fledged game. Now, Gran Turismo 7, the complete package in PSVR 2 in my opinion. Except for the split screen races, GT7 is fully playable in VR. That means that you can experience every car, circuit, race in PSVR 2. VR races now support grids of up to 14 cars, and you can even race with human opponents online. All this makes Gran Turismo 7 the most feature-packed PlayStation VR 2 game you can play at launch. Best of all, there's no upgrade charge. If you already own Gran Turismo 7, the PSVR 2 update is free to download as a part of the 1.29 patch that was released a while back there. Racing games are such a great showcase of this new hardware, and same is true for Gran Turismo 7 and the PSVR 2. Unlike GT Sport, Gran Turismo 7 visuals aren't noticeably downgraded in VR. Despite running at a higher frame rate than the standard game at 120 FPS, this is likely due to the PSVR 2's clever foveated rendering, which reduces the resolution of the screen areas in your peripheral vision to save processing power. With the PSVR 2, it renders the image in 4K resolution with 2000 by 2040 pixels per eye. Don't expect the image quality to be as clear as a 4K television viewed from a distance. Even at this resolution, pixelation and blurring are unavoidable when the screen is inches away from your eyes. So despite the PSVR 2's OLED display, it still produces stunning images with deep blacks and rich colours that pop to the HDR. Finding the sweet spot is not as bad than what it used to be for me. What I personally done with my PlayStation 2 VR headset is actually just got a Velcro strap from Amazon. It came with wee plastic clips, literally it was a pack of 5 meters Velcro strap, and all I did was the thinnest parts of the VR headset, just in front of where the earbuds would plug into your headset. I just attached the strap over the top of my head whilst having the hat on, just securing it down. And all that this did is just give me a wee bit more stability and a wee bit less slippage. Now, there is things that you can buy on Amazon. I have seen them online, and they could range anything from £10 up to £30, £40, and that's maybe not including delivery, depending if it's coming from the UK or not. Some places are coming from American sites and stuff, as I've seen. But I just thought, a wee bit of do-it-yourself, make it comfortable for yourself, see how it is. If it doesn't work, there's no harm lost at all from spending a lot less money getting the package here, as I do have Amazon Prime within a day. So I can't really complain for the sake of what £5 to £7 that the Velcro strips cost me. You can cut them to length to your own size, and there is a wee plastic clip that you can attach on there just to give it a wee bit more stability if you wanted to do so. Very comfortable for me. It's made it a lot more usable for me, so that might save you a bit of money moving forward. Out on the track with the VR and Gran Turismo 7 is just driving games fan dream come true, in my opinion. Now, PlayStation VR 2 transports you into the cockpit of your favourite cars with a highlighted feeling of speed and intensity. Space between the cars, the braking distances and the corner apexes are easier to judge in VR, in my opinion, helping improve your lap times, as I've noticed this quite significantly. I can drive in a flat 2D screen and then I can jump into the VR and I can shave seconds off my time. Now, don't get me wrong, you still can make mistakes the same as you do with PSVR compared to looking at a 2D screen. You can make mistakes on both sides, but we're only human after all. Now, it's all going to be dependent on your experience. 33 years gaming, and I've kind of played every sort of format of games. I have played every sort of game variation, and it's got to the point for me where I'm looking for things that really kind of just give me back that feeling of gaming intensity and just make me feel happy at playing this game and actually generally excited to go on and play a game. As you'll know from my channel, I have done a setup of what I am currently using with Fanatec equipment, sim rig and stuff like that, with GT Omega and track racer equipment attached on there. You can see the video on my channel, so please do check that out if you want to know more. With the equipment that I'm using and using the VR on Gran Turismo 7, the feeling is absolutely unparalleled to anything I've ever experienced before. As I was mentioning earlier, with the PlayStation VR 1 coming out, and I had Drive Club, I believe it was called, it just was not even in comparison to what we have on Gran Turismo 7 now. And I do think that it's made a massive generational leap for sim racing in general. I do understand that you have had VR opportunities through racing games on PC, and PC is not something that I currently game on at the present moment in time. For the price package and what this is coming in at, if I was to buy a high-end PC to be able to run triple screen monitors all at 4K, 120Hz, you're talking thousands upon thousands of pounds in order to do this. Obviously, you maybe could say, well, you have spent quite a bit of money between buying the PS5 at launch, buying the PSVR 2 at launch, buying your separate equipment. It really isn't necessary for you to have a steering wheel and a force feedback wheelbase, sim rigging, all the rest of it. All that I was trying to do prior to the PSVR 2 at launch, when I heard that the Gran Turismo 7 was going to be fully playable in VR, that's when I decided to just go, do you know what, I want to make this the most immersive experience that I possibly can. As I don't have the option to have a triple screen setup like PC gamers do, because I do play on PlayStation, for me I just wanted to make it as more immersive as I possibly can. And as soon as I put the VR2 hat on, switch the power on in the hat, you will be presented with a 2D screen. The time that it does switch to VR, fully fledged VR, is when the race is actually starting up. So when you've got that countdown timer on the screen of 3, 2, 1, and it's off you go, you will be fully fledged in VR. And it's absolutely incredible. You can see the cockpit of your car, you can see the steering wheel of your car, you can see the significant detail within the car. Coming into PlayStation VR, what you can actually see as well when you have the VR hat on, you will see an option round about here saying VR showroom. And what that enables you to do is when you go into that, you can select a scene where you want to go and have a look at the car. You can sit in the cockpit of the car. You can look around the outside of the car, all in VR as well. The full game is in VR, and it's absolutely insane. And what I mean by that is, for example, if you wanted to go and do some licenses in VR, you can do that. If you wanted to go and have a look at some just normal races and world circuits, you can do that. You've got your VR showroom. You can also go to your sports mode. You can do everything. The only thing that you will not be able to see in VR is this flat screen here. It will just look like a cinematic screen looking through your headset at that moment in time when you're here navigating. It's truly when you get into the race that it turns into VR. So I would say the reason why that I decided to take the plunge and give me that full immersive effect with the steering wheel and the direct drive wheelbase and the pedals as well is because I wanted that feeling that I can actually feel that I'm driving, I'm moving a wheel, I'm braking, I'm accelerating, and just the feeling of looking into those apexes when you're coming up, braking, coming down to the pace that you need to go for that particular corner, turning into that corner, being able to look round the corner to your left, to your right, being able to see in your wing mirrors, being able to obviously see cars coming up behind you if you have got a rear view mirror and stuff like that as well, depending on the car you're driving. It is just absolutely amazing. And it's just fantastic to see that you've got this technology available to you. Going back to what I was advising in regards to Formula 123, I really do think that they have totally had a missed opportunity. Formula 123 been only out for just over a couple of months. You've now got the game on sale in the PlayStation Store, but the one thing that they really have dropped the ball on is not having PlayStation VR 2 compatibility, and then advising that the only VR compatibility that you will be able to use Formula 123 on is through PC. And I think it's quite a biased way. They've kind of edged out and said, PlayStation users, I'm not going to do that. My personal opinion is the fact that they've maybe not had the time that Polyphony and Sony have put into Gran Turismo 7 in order to be able to make a polished product, to be able to show the capabilities of the VR2 and what it can actually do for sim racing games. I'm going to end the video here. Thank you very much for watching. Thanks for listening. If you do have any questions or queries, please let me know in the comments, and I will leave the links to the Formula 1 websites in the description below. Thanks very much for watching, guys. I appreciate it. If you do like the content, please like and subscribe and share this video out there. Hit the wee bell for notifications, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.